Welcome back. This is the Kenyan student, and today we look at the cluster subjects. And without much further ado, let's get started. So, you've probably interacted with these subjects, maybe practically, or you've heard of them. And the question in your mind right now is how do these subjects become cluster subjects? What are these cluster subjects? Let's get into it. What are they? And how does actually this COOPS, this organization called COOPS, utilize them? So cluster subjects are basically groupings of related subjects. So you know what a cluster is. A cluster is basically a grouping and the subjects are what I have shown you before. So basically cluster subjects is a grouping of related subjects. So let me give you an example here. For instance, I can take mathematics, history, aviation and English together and form a cluster. So that becomes a cluster subject. And maybe I can introduce a degree course. Maybe I call it degree in cooking, and I say for you to actually get to this degree, bachelor's degree in cooking, then you have to have mathematics, history, aviation, and English. Of course, I know that is an absurd example, but I'm just trying to explain how these cluster subjects work. Okay, they can actually be four or less in number depending on different circumstances, as I shall show you. Oh my goodness. So let's get into it. So for instance, let's take this example here: Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery or Bachelor of Dental Surgery. In this course, for you to actually do it, you actually need four cluster subjects. See, you see subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, subject 4. And you need a biology, you need a chemistry, you need a maths or physics, or a English or a Kiswahili. So that is what forms the cluster subjects. So for you to do medicine, you cannot do it without any of this. You have to have all of them, or where there is specification, then one of them, like in these two cases. Okay, let's get into another example here: bachelors of law. So for the bachelors of law, they only have English or Kiswahili, so that is their only cluster subject at that point. Okay, but now there's a contradiction here. Cluster subjects can actually be viewed in two ways: either from where they come from, which is the regulatory bodies, or how they are used to calculate cluster points. These are points I will be explaining quite later in this particular video, this particular tutorial. So, but the question is, how do they actually calculate cluster points? That will be coming up in a video immediately after this. Okay, so what is the role of these cluster subjects? It is to simplify the decision making and to broaden your career pathways, of course helping you align your secondary education with the tertiary options. Okay, imagine a scenario whereby when you get to high school you will just study a particular or very few courses or very few subjects. That one will be absurd, because when you get to this particular point, then you'll not be able to have a leeway of selecting what you want. For instance, people who did not do biology cannot do medicine despite them having an airplane, because biology is a must for you to actually do this particular course. Okay, so let's get into a bit deeper into it. Who groups these courses? Who groups these clusters? Who sits down and say, by the way, for you to do medicine, you actually need biology? I mean, why not history? Why not anything else? So they are grouped by regulatory bodies, okay, or what we call professional bodies or associations. So which are these regulatory bodies? We have things like Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Council. Remember, this is not Dentist Union, but Dentist Council. Okay, we have Nursing Council of Kenya (NCK). We have Engineers Board of Kenya (EBK). We have Pharmacies and Poisons Board that regulate pharmacy courses. We have Law Society of Kenya regulating law courses. We have Architectural Association of Kenya regulating architecture courses. Media Council of Kenya regulating media courses, and then Clinical Officers Council regulating clinical courses. Okay, and so many other. There are very many. There are things like Institution of Surveyors of Kenya, Institution of Human Resource Management. There are so many. I cannot be able to list all of them. But these ones are the ones who sit down. For instance, this group here, KMPDC, sits down and says any students who want to do medicine in Kenya must obtain a B plane in biology, must have a B plane in chemistry, must have a B plane in mathematics or physics. Either of them, they will pick one, and a B plane in English or Kiswahili, they will pick one. Failure to which you will not do medicine in this country. That one is, even if you have the money to go to private institution, you cannot do medicine in this country. That is the funny bit about it, or the unlucky part. So that is how serious it is. Or people like pharmacies and poisons board sit down and says, for you to do a bachelor of pharmacy, you need require a C plus in biology, a C plus in chemistry, a C plus in mathematics or physics, or a C plus in English or Kiswahili. The same case to nursing. For anyone who wants to do, for instance, law. So the Law Society of Kenya sits down and says, oh, for us, we only need people to get a B plane in either English or Kiswahili. So this dark laying here you see, this dark part you see here, means that so long as you have a B plane in English or Kiswahili, they will pick all the other best. They will pick the best from the others. But for medicine, they will only pick that which they have decided for you, and you must have to attain that grade. Okay, so that is basically what happens with these bodies. So that is the cluster subjects. It is designated, or it is already decided for you by these bodies. Okay, and all these courses have their regulatory bodies, and even if they don't have, then COOPS takes up that role. Okay, and from there, if you've understood these cluster subjects, now we can go on to actually discuss cluster points. So don't forget to watch our next video on cluster points immediately after this. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to the Kenyan Student so that we may be able to give you more insights such as those cluster points and be able to impact more people. Thank you and best wishes.